Good morning, Rabbi Sai. How's everybody doing? Today is Daf Samach Ches. Lili Nishmasimi, Rusbas Mordechai. Sponsored by Shlomi Klein, who I did not print out. Why? Stam. For no reason. I wanted to print out something beautiful, and then I didn't print out anything. Shlomi Klein, did I say Shlomi Klein? Shlomi Klein is tomorrow. Different Klein. Today is Yossi Klein. Sorry, Venice. Yossi Klein from Muncie, not Shlomi Klein from Crown Heights, correct. That's the Klein boys. So Yossi Klein is a tremendous sponsor. He also sponsored on his own. He went out of his way and did this whole ad in the Ami magazine. If you saw Ami, it's not me tooting my horn, although I would love to. It's like, I'm putting an ad on the back of a bus for me. Shkoyach, really appreciate it. Just this one had a lot of, it was the real thing. The bus, we got one guy that we know of. This, Baruch Hashem, is mamish working. So thank you Yossi. Yossi also told me, I don't know if this is for public knowledge, but I'm going to say it anyways because it's a chizik for everybody and he loves to give chizik to people. Yossi came over to me when I was in the sukkah, or it wasn't the sukkah, it was the outside over there in Muncie when I met the guys. He came over to me and said, listen, this is the first time in my life that I learned on Chol Hamoed. First time in his life. So it's a tremendous chizuk for me, for everybody else. Real quickly, I want to show you some pictures here instead of emails. A blimp, yeah, whatever. Okay, a plane will do anything. Listen, whatever gets the word out there. This Rabbi Isai is our friend David Brandis, who drove in yesterday 2 hours and then he got home at 3 o'clock in the morning with his son. He is donating plasma because I don't know if you recall, he together with Shlomi Klein was at the same time that Shlomi Klein was in the hospital and he was in the whatever. He was very sick with COVID, but he's donating. And what is he doing? He has a Gemara on his lap and he's doing the daf. Beautiful. Here's a picture. I'm very upset about this one. This is Moshe Apter from Montreal. Moshe Apter is famous. He has a chavrusa that's a goat. I love the kid. He has a chavrusa that's a goat. He has a chavrusa that's a rabbit, and he learns chavrusa with a goat. You didn't see the video by the CM. Anyways, here's Moshe Apter. He just missed us. I really wanted to see him when he came to Muncie, but he couldn't make it then. There was some problem getting out of Toronto or Montreal. Okay, yishkoyach. Here, am I off of Zoom? I don't know what's going on because I don't see Zoom anymore because somebody took over my screen. Oh yeah, okay, I'm back on Zoom. Gershon, you could keep on playing with my screen. Fine, it's not a problem. This is a picture in Far Rockaway. This is Farkovitz and his son, and the famous Kalman from the Five Towns. Who else do we have here? A bunch of great guys. This is an interesting guy that loves to walk around with a 8-minute black T-shirt on Chol Hamoed. Eli Dykman, not from Far Rockaway, but in Far Rockaway. And Avi Sherman. Here we go. Avi Sherman. Beautiful. What else do we have? Oh, check this out. This is a tremendous amount of nachas. If Shlomi Rosenberg from Muncie saw this, he would have a heart attack. This is the Borough Park Chevra. The Streimels over here. They did like a Loisis Goydidu kind of thing. The Litvaks and the Sfardim over here. The Streimelach over here. And they try to convert me and they put me in the center. And then they threw a Streimel on me. And then you have a guy with a white shirt. I don't know where his black shirt is. This guy right over here. This tzaddik. Okay, next. And here is a picture, because he sent me these pictures, so that's why I'm putting them up here. Here's Yisrael Shalitsky, otherwise known as Shalit, and Shmelka, the famous Shmelka, the sponsor of the Flatbush Borough Park Siyum. He's a very handsome guy. You just can't see it with his mask on. All right. And then this was almost like Purim. Here's David Dress showing up to the shir in a yellow hazmat suit. We had a great time there, great time. Real quick, from a big tzaddik from London, I think he lives in, somewhere in England. And it says like this: Hi Rebelli, checking in as requested. I'm not on Zoom, as I like to watch the shir in the mornings, London time when I'm most awake, but I'm still there daily through Torah Anytime YouTube. I'll buy with about 10 blot in Erim to make up sometime. Okay, say that. He has to make up a little bit, it's not the end of the world. Still waiting to hear from you. Imagine if he would just quit because he missed 10 daf. I mean, we're hundreds of daf into Shas, and 10 daf is not the end of the world. Still waiting to hear from you about the MDY newsletter, feel free to give me a call to discuss. Yeshua has my number, Kol Tov, Ari Bloom, Yeshua Koyach. And here we go, Rabbi Isai. I failed to mention, I really need to mention this. We had a tremendous benefit from the Sefer Pirush Chai. I don't have any, because Eruvin now, they came out with the color ones. I don't really use them, but in Masechtas Shabbos, I was using them every single day. The author of Pirush Chai was unfortunately nifter a few days ago, and I forgot to mention Rabbi Parush, and he was a Yid of a tzaddik. I don't know him personally, but I called him up. I said, hey, I have the shir. No problem. I said I could, yes, video, yes, bye, without a so. His neshama should have an aliyah. He helped us tremendously in Masechtas Shabbos, and a little bit in Masechtas Eruvin. I used him here and there. So yeah, neshama should have an aliyah. Zok the Gemara, we're holding 2, 4, 6, 7 lines from the bottom. Ahu yinuka di shtapich chamime. This is, we don't have Gary here. We have amateur tech people. So once in a while we have a little bit of a internet issue. What? Yeah, Yossi Klein. Yossi Klein is the sponsor for today. He doesn't care. He's look him up in the Ami magazine. He doesn't need his name on the wall. Okay, what's going on there? I need to shut this off probably. Hold on, close, because I'm getting a text message from Yeshua in the middle. It's a good thing he's not calling me, he's just text messaging. All right, Zog the Gemara. Ahu Yenuka di shtapech chamime. So in the time of the Gemara, it was a huge thing. We had it in Masechtas Shabbos. Pull out a picture because there's not a whole lot of pictures today. They used to bathe the baby. They believed that you must bathe the baby before the bris milah with hot water, and following the bris milah, and if not, it could be sakanas nefashos. The mother also bathed in hot water. Hot water. Hayunuka di shtapich chamime. Yeah, the water spilled out without the baby in the bathtub. But just it spilled out. No hot water for the baby. Omalu Rabba, nicely, we have Rabbi Isai, we have Yoel Bergman in the house. If you haven't noticed yet, he Baruch Hashem, he made it here, and he's going to make his presence known throughout the Shir Beis Hashem every few minutes. Omalu Rabba, Naisule Chamime. I heard you the first time, the second time, and the fourth time. Shkoyach. Naisule Chamime Migoy Beisar. No, I'm not nervous, B'chal. We're going. This is the way it is. Thank you, Uncle Phil, for sponsoring. We appreciate it. Says Rabba, I need to picture this for a second. You're in a mavoi. Imagine, I know people paid a few $1 million for the Vilna Gaon Shas. They'll pay millions of dollars for the Baal Shem Tov's Becher, whatever it is. Just a ksav yad of something. So imagine if you are in a mavoi that Rabba lives in it. Rabba, you're just a common guy, Rabba. Not only Rabba, but Abaya. It's unbelievable. It's like, to think about it, it's not just a whole movie full of Gedolim, 2 Gedolim. What's the big deal? So the baby needs water, bring it from my house. You didn't make an Eruv. Now the Gemara is going to explain, what, Rabba didn't know? No, he didn't know. He was busy learning Torah, he had no idea. He thought there's an Eruv, but he's busy. No, there's no. V'lo arvina. Abayu lives right there in the Mavi. He knows. There's no Eruv. Omalei nismor chashituf. What you could do is, you don't need an Eruv. You have the sheet of Mavais that allows you to go from your chutzner into the Mavi, and everybody is a partner. It's the same word as Eruv, basically. It's the same idea as Eruv. If you do a shituf, you don't really need an Eruv. So, presumably, there was a shituf here, so that people could access the Mavoi. So bring the water from my house, says Rabbah. Amalei, Holy Shatfinon, Rebbe. There's no shituf either. There's no Eruv, there's no shituf. So I have a third idea, says Rabbah. Name Relay Nochri Leisilei. Go tell a guy. Amar Abaye, amazing thing here. So Abaye is talking now, and he says, I wanted to ask Rabbah a question. V'lo shafkan Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef said, do not ask any questions now. Do what he says. Go to the guy, use a guy, ask any question you have after the fact. Because what if you are right in your question? No bris, you're stuck. Ask the question, lady. Because Rav Yosef said, we were by Rav Yehuda, And Rav Yehuda, remember, a Talmud of Shmuel, and that's what we had, the connection we had yesterday, the day before. If it comes to a psak that a Rav says in a Doiraisa, and you have a bomb question, go ahead and ask it because you don't want to be over Doiraisa. But when it comes to a Issa D'Rabbanan, like an Eruv, Avdina Maisa, first you ask questions later. Some want to say, yeah.
It's easier to ask for forgiveness than to ask for forgiveness.
So the question is, there's a shiloh here, if in fact you're not over on anything, it's only the Rabbanon, so it's a shoygig b'derabbanon kind of thing, or perhaps not. Okay, fine. We're not going to get into that, but that's the rule. The rule is that if you have a good question on the Rabbanon, the Rav Paskin, he's also kind of the Rabbanon, not really, but he's within that thing. He said so. Now, if he made a mistake, you'll figure it out later.
Is there a svara for that, Eli?
So I kind of explained it now also. Like, you're within the Rabbanon. He's also the Rabbanon. He's a Rav of the Rabbanon, like he's Rabbah. He creates the Rabbanons. I'm not saying that that's the pshat, but the point is that...
And what's lost by asking? Is it a lack of kavod Rav?
No. If you ask a question, you might be stuck with the answer you don't want to get. He told you the halacha, you go with it. It's only the Rabbanon. So what are you over on? A Rav told you to do something, and then you're going to find out that the Rav made a mistake. Okay, you don't have to bring a chatos, you don't have to bring, it's only the Rabban, the Rav made a mistake. But if you're going to ask a good question, and you're going to find out the Rav made a mistake, so now you're stuck, you can't do a bris. Right now you have a heter, listen to your rabbi, end the story, go with the rabbi. Later on you'll find out if he was right or wrong. L'basa acha amar li, so Rav Yosef said to Abaya, you're right, I told you not to ask any questions. My boys lesuv lemar. But what I want to hear, tell me what your big problem with Rabbah was. Mar, the master, that's how they called him with kavod. Amrilei, so Abai told him the sanya, hazah shvus, to sprinkle the water of a para aduma, the mechatos. If somebody's tmei meis, you have to sprinkle water. You shech the animal. You have the what do you call it? The ashes of the para aduma. You mix it into the water. You take the water. You put it on a thing. You give us a few sprinkles. That is usher to do shvus. Shvus means isur d'Rabbanan. That's usher to do on Shabbos. V'amir l'nachi shvus. And to tell a guy to do something for you on Shabbos is a shvus. It's isur d'Rabbanan. Ma hazah shvus ve'ina doiches Shabbos daf samaches Amud Aleph. Just like hazah is isur d'Rabbanan and it doesn't push off Shabbos, even if it's a mitzvah. For instance, I need to shech the korban Pesach, and Shabbos is Erev Pesach. I can't shech it unless I get my hazah. No, this year you're not going to do korban Pesach on the first Pesach, so it doesn't push off Shabbos. Af amir l'nachi shvus v'nedoiches Shabbos. So too, Rabbi Isai, the talking disturbs me. I can't concentrate when the Olam is talking. Af amir l'nachi shvus v'nedoiches Shabbos. So too, telling a guy to do something on Shabbos for you, even though it's for mitzvah, for bris milah, doesn't push off the Shabbos. Omer lei, so Rav Yosef tells Abaya, what are you talking about? It's a good thing you didn't ask the kasha because it's not a good kasha. Over here, the guy is not doing a maisa. When he does a malacha Shabbos, he spritzes, okay, fine. But over here, what is he doing? He's bringing the water. There's no mice in here. He didn't cook up the water. He's bringing it from Rabba's house. Domar, Loyomar, Rabba only said, L'nochi zilachim. He didn't say, Loyomar l'nochi zilachim. He didn't say, go boil it up. All he said is, I have an urn of water in my house. Go bring the water over here. So this is a shvus, the shvus. Why? There's an amir la'akum to tell a guy to do something for you. What? What are you telling him to do? It's the rabbanon of carrying without an eruv. That's a shvus, a double shvus. To the rabbanons, that's not a problem. If he would have told him, go boil up the water, that's this is the raisa. You're not allowed to do a mir lakum, this is the raisa. This is shvus, this is shvus. Okay. Oh, Malay Rav Chan, we're not done with the story. Oh, Malay Rav Chan, Mavoy, this betray Gavri Rav Rabbanon. Can you imagine? This is Mavoy that has two huge gdolim. Rabbi and Abayo, Leheve Be Eruv, V'lo Yishitov. Could you imagine? How is it possible that they didn't make an Eruv? Every Shabbos there should be an Eruv, there should be a Shituf. Why? Because people might come to carry by mistake. You don't want to be over. If you're such a Choshev Rav, you're a Rabbi, you're a Baya, you should take care of the Eruv and the Shituf. Amalei. So Abaya answers, my Nevid. What do you want me to do? Mar lav orche. It's not proper for Rabbi to go from house to house, knocking on every door and asking to get an Eruv. It takes up a lot of time. It's below his covet, beneath his covet. It's not something Gal Adar does. I know, what about me, Abaya? I'm not saying that it's beneath my dignity, but I'm saying, I know, Taridim Begir Soy. I'm busy learning Torah. I don't have time for this. What about the other people in the Mavi? Obviously, now the Gemara says, Inu loy mashgiche. They won't pay attention. So, they can't do it. I can't do it, Rabbi can't do it. Now, what if I designate bread in a basket? How do I designate bread in a basket? With my mouth. I don't take a piece of bread and put it in a basket and say, go. I'm saying, I'm donating bread to the cause. It never happened, but it's with my mouth, says Rashi. Interesting line here. What if they come to me one Shabbos and they say, we need some bread? I can't afford it, says Abaya. Every week? Rashi says, every week, Kol Shabbos. Perhaps Abaya could...
Eli, you're freezing again.
Oy, vey. So what do we do? Andrew, you want to see what's going on with your phone? Why is it freezing?
Phone by the window. Maybe I'm
You know, I think what could work is this.
A few minutes later.
Yosef, you hear me, Yosef?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, so Yosef, just remember to cut out, if you can, from YouTube, these 5 minutes. It would be very helpful. All right.
I think these were the best 5 minutes that have been on so far.
They were. We should sing a niggin. Oy v'hinei Hashem nitzav avav alav meloi kol haaretz kivav avoda. It's Thursday night. Hoy mabit alav u'boichen kloyo yisva. Okay, weiter. Cut that out also. Weiter! Zog the Gemara. Chicago, they don't know how to sing B'chlal. They all sing at me. Is he serious? V'aknilu pita b'salo kivin the boyu lo minayu v'lo yevsha leis v'nahalayu. The boy lo minei v'lo yevsha leis v'nahalayu. If they come to ask me for some bread, I can't give it. I can't afford it every single week. Batel shituf. Then it's no good eruv. Shituf means we're all in this together. You could eat my bread, I eat your bread. If I can't give it to you every single week, then this whole shituf is no good. Therefore, the Gemara's question was, so let's go back for a second. Why can't Abaye just do it? It doesn't take any time. So you're learning, you're very busy learning. Just say it with your mouth, like Rashi says, B'dibur, take some bread in a basket, an imaginary bread in an imaginary basket, and you have an imaginary Eruv, and everything is great. You know why? Because when push comes to shove and somebody asks me for that bread on Shabbos, I don't have it. I can't give it to him. I can't afford it. I'm a Baya. I don't have any money. Rab, on the other hand, had money, but he was very busy with Talmidim and everything else. Zog the Gemara, the Sanyo, Echad Menei Mavi Shebikish Yayim V'Shem V'Lo Nasuloi, Batel HaShituf. If one of the people of the Mavi who wanted wine or oil, he asked for wine and oil, and they didn't receive it, they asked for it. Could I have some wine and oil from your Eruv? No. Batel HaShituf. Then it's not a shituf. Yeah? Oh, Andrew Glatz with his wine. We got a whole chabura going here. We're in this together. We're one. It's one mishpacha. You don't want to give me wine? Then we're not mishpacha. We don't have a shituf. Why doesn't he just set aside a revius of vinegar? Now, what's the significance of vinegar? So vinegar is very inexpensive. One revius, as we learned earlier in the Masechta, is enough for 2 sudas, right? How much eruv do you need to put aside? You need to put aside 2 sudas worth. So let him set aside 1 revius in a barrel somewhere. That much Abaye would have. So if somebody comes to him and says, hey, could I have some vinegar? Yeah, you could have. Even me, Abaye, could afford some vinegar. Zog the Gemara. Tanya, you can't do it. Why? Because what if I use some of the vinegar from the barrel? So now we're talking about the famous concept called yesh breira and ein breira. Do we retroactively understand what happened here, l'chatchila? Do we retroactively know what part of the barrel is the eruv and what part isn't? So if I say ein breira, so what if I drank from, I used some of this vinegar, I might have just used up the eruv and it's gone. And people are using the barrel all the time. So I, Abaye, cannot say I want one revius of that barrel to be my eruv because somebody's going to come along and drink up the eruv. Now, if you hold yesh breira, so you drink and drink and drink, and the last revius, retroactively I understand that's the revius I wanted to use for my eruv. But there's another brisa that says you could use an oitzer, storage, a barrel. Now what? Whether or not is breira, do we say the retroactive? This nan. And we had the sugya earlier. If there's a person who died inside a house, the halacha is if you take the body out of a door, so everything within the doorway, even if there's a closed door, so there's a jam behind the door towards the outside, everything within that jam becomes tamei. Now the halacha is, since we don't know which door he's going to go out from, so everything in the doorways, even beyond the door, on the outside of the house, they are all, do me a favor, Yosef, you got to take you all, take him next to you, because I can't do this. Yosef, be in charge, please. Thanks. So, Hameiz Babayis v'loy psachim harbe kulam tmeim. All the doors are tamei. Niftach echol mem. If one of the doors opened up, hu tamei v'kulon tahirim. So, if you reveal which door you want to take the mace out of, then we know, okay, he's only going to go out of door A. All the other doors and any kli that's within the jam, tar. Here comes the halach that we were looking for. If he had in mind to do one door, I'm going to take him out of the front door. Remember yesterday? We had, what did we have yesterday? We had a fence that the guy has a little opening that goes out into the bika, 4x4. 4x4 is enough for a human being to crawl out of. So if there's a window that's 4x4, tfachim, matzal kol psachim kulan, all the other doors are all tar. Why? Because I decided which one it is. Beishamai yoimrim v'hu shechishev at shelo yomos hameis. Beishamai hold that what? Ein breira. You have to decide beforehand which one it is, and basically that's Abaye, and that's problematic because Abaye, who didn't make the eruv, he didn't put it into he didn't say I'm going to use vinegar in a barrel, because he holds like the shita that you can't. But who's the shita? It's Beishamai. How does Abaye hold like Beishamai? Taisus discusses and says, l'chayra, there is no machlekes Beishamai b'Hillel. You have to say there's no such machlekes because there's so many shitas that hold ein breira. It can't be they hold like Beishamai. So anyway, since there's a concept of yesh breira, I could retroactively go back and decide which door. So once I know which door, I take the mace out of the front door, then retroactively I know that all the kalim that were in the other doors, in the back door, the side door, are tar because that's what I decided beforehand. I don't need to decide. Even later on, I could do yesh breira, and it's as if what? As if yesterday that was my machshava. Yesterday, I decided I'm going to take him out from the front door. Just like a machshava helps the day before, I say I'm going to take him out from that door. So I don't need that machshava. By me taking him out from the door, then by me taking him out from the door, that's the retroactive machshava. You're not doing a good job, Yosef. Now I'm going to start yelling at you. I picked the wrong guy. Rabbi Tursky. You got him? He's yours? You learned in your cheder, really? No, what was the trick, Taka? Let's hear. He's a very good boy. How do you keep him like in a seat? Is there a way? He's engaged in life. He's bored of my share. You don't like the sugi? Yo, what's going on? You don't like it. He's saying no, he doesn't like it. I don't believe it, but look, here, a great story. Here's a great story. Ahu Yanuka, there's a baby. You hear this, yo? There's a baby. You know what? I'll tell you a story just for y'all. When I was a baby, a true story, when I was a 2-year-old, I climbed onto the countertop and I poured an entire urn of boiling water on Shabbos on my whole body. That's why I am who I am today. Baruch Hashem, I don't have a single scar, but I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. His water spilled out, not on him, Baruch Hashem, but it spilled out. We have a bunch of these stories. You hear the story? Great story. I'm going to ask the mother, does she need water? Now we're talking about the day of the bris. The day of the bris, a mother is no longer a chayla sheyesh b'sakana. What? Right, only 3 days. Now it's at least 7 days later, 8 days later. So she's a chayla she'ein b'sakana. But a chayla she'ein b'sakana could still ask a guy to do malacha for her. So let the mother ask the guy. Itzricha, if she needs the water, they're very into the hot water, right? Nechem lei nachri agavime. So let the guy heat up the water, and he'll add a little bit more for the baby, the kol tuv selah. What's going on here? The mother is eating freezing cold dates. She's trying to warm up her body with hot water, but she's eating cold food. It doesn't make sense. If you're eating ice cream, you don't need hot water. That means she's beyond the hot water stage. She doesn't need hot water if she's eating cold food. Maybe in English it's called postpartum depression. I don't know what it's called. But there's some sort of shtus that went into her brain. She's not in control of what she's eating. She doesn't know what she's doing. She's eating cold fruit. She shouldn't. The doctors told her not to. She needs hot water. So don't pay attention to what she's eating. The bottom line is, look, we need to get hot water for the baby, and don't come up with these things, these dates and cold. And she needs water, we'll give her water. Another story, another maisa. Ahu Yenuka, Eruvin maisas. These are the best. Ahu Yenuka, there's a baby that the water spilled out. Rava, Panuli money. So here goes. Listen to this. You see, the baby. Shmak, no? You like the cartoon today? Baby with the green yarmulke and blue tchelas. They start them young. Stam, I want to push the button. There's people that came over to me. Tchelas. New York, they're very anti. So here's an urn of water. Here's a male, here's a female. Why? Rava had a house that he used to learn Torah in the front of the house, closer to the chutzner. Where's the hot water? In his chutzner. Okay? The women in his family, like Rav Chizda's daughter, they hung out in the back of the house. Back here. Everybody has a picture in Rashi. It's a bunch of sticks. If you want to go with that picture, great. If you want to go with the cartoons, also great. So, says Rava, look, I'm going to move into the back room with my wife, with the women of my family. They were there for tznius purposes, so that people in the chutzner don't see them, whatever it is. I'm going to take all my gemaras, all my stuff, my kelim, and go into the back room. Once I'm in the back room, I'm going to give up my chutzner. I'm going to do bittul. We discussed bittul. I'm relinquishing my rights to my chutzner. Now, why did he have to move to the back of the house? Because he was scared that he was in the front of the house, he's going to come to walk out into his chutzner. It's not his anymore. He's mevatel. So, memela, he was very careful, and he went to the back of the house, and he's going to ask himself, why am I in the back of the house? What am I doing here? Oh, because I don't have a chutzner. I need to be careful today. Great. And therefore, once he relinquishes his chutzner, he's mevatel his chutzner, so the other chutzner guys, the chutzner with the baby, they could come and grab the water. It's their chutzner. He gave it to them on Shabbos. Now, what's the big problem? We just learned you cannot be mevatel mechutzner lechutzner. V'azel v'esev hasam v'vatelu hachatzer. Amalei Ravina l'Rava. So Ravina asks him, "V'amar Shmuel, what about Shmuel? Ein bitul rishus mechutzner lechutzner I cannot relinquish my rights if it's to do with someone that lives in another chutzner, like the baby. Amar le, and no, not a question, because I hold like Rabbi Yochanan, who holds it's not a problem. He holds you could be mevad rishus. So he says a bomb question, but I got you. Rebbe, I got you. If you, Rava, don't hold like Shmuel, Neisiv Mar, we're going to get to the dedication in a second. Neisiv Mar beduchte. So memaniv. Either you hold like Shmuel or you don't hold like Shmuel, you hold like Rabbi Yochanan. Oh, so then why do you have to get out of your room? Why do you have to get out of your learning study and go to the women's section? Stay right where you are. And you could do your bittul, great. And then a second later, once you see that they got the water out of there, they'll give it back to you. They'll be mevatel it back. I relinquish to them. 5 minutes later, they relinquish to you. You don't have to move. You don't have to call in a moving company to take all your stuff out of the room. We just turned to Daf Amud Beis, sponsored by Mark Steinberg, who's Baruch Hashem with us tonight for Shidduch for son Yitzchok Pesach Yehuda ben Meir Yosef. I saw that there was some shmooze, not only Farkovich, but also Rabbi Noam Fix. He had some ideas. I hope you have to give me the thing. They're saying they don't have your info. Give me the info tonight before you leave. And by anonymous, Hatzloch in Yiddishkeit and schus for his family to be Torah Jews. Very good. So, says the Gemara, Damarab, Mevatlim v'choizim mevatlim. I can relinquish to you, and then you give it right back to me. Says the Gemara, says Rav, Ano Baha Kishmus really. Yes, you're right. On the one hand, they hold like Rabbi Yochanan, but on the other hand, they hold like Shmuel, even though they argue with each other. But it's two different things. Says the Gemara, the Omar, what does Shmuel hold? Your whole question was, if you hold like Rabbi Yochanan, hold like him all the way, and say that you can relinquish and then you can relinquish back. No, in that part I don't hold like Rabbi Yochanan. Says the Gemara, but they're intertwined sort of. It's not one reason. Why is it that Shmuel holds you can't relinquish and then get it back? Isn't it because once you relinquish your property, you're gone, you're finished, you have nothing to do. Yoel, Rabbi Twersky, you're in trouble. I think it's better. I think the Olam doesn't appreciate this. I'll just go for my house tomorrow, I think. Tomorrow shears at 7:15 p.m. So hold on. So once I relinquish my rishus, who am I? I'm nobody. I'm not here anymore. I'm not part of this chotzer. And then you're like just a regular stranger that never lived there before. And then that's why we have this concept of chotzer l'chotzer. We're strangers. I can relinquish my rishus to a stranger. So therefore, how could you rub a dance on both chasanas? Say you hold like Rabbi Yochanan, you hold like Shmuel. Either you hold like Rabbi Yochanan on both things, on bittul after a bittul, do a bittul and give it back, and also on chotzer l'chotzer. It's the same svara l'chayra. Or you can't pick and choose. Says the Gemara, not true. Rava tells him, no, the reason why they hold, Shmuel holds, you cannot go and relinquish your property for 5 minutes and then get it back, has nothing to do with being mevatel from one chatzah to another chatzah. It's a different svara. What's a svara? You don't want to make Rabbanon's halachas a joke. This is a joke. Oh, you want to carry water for the baby? Here, have my property. Oh, but I need to learn Torah in my front room. Give me my property back. It's a joke. Your mom is making a chayzik here. Can't make a chayzik. Gufa. Rav Omar, mevatlin v'chayzim mevatlin. Ushmul Omar, ei mevatlin v'chayzim mevatlin. Rav says you could be mevatel and then get it back. You can make a joke, sort of. Lemer Rav Shmuel beplukto de Rabbanon v'Rebelezer kol mifli. So we have machloikis later on. If actually we have it, that what according to Rebelezer, if you mevatel your chotzer, if I say my front yard is batel, in other words, you can have it now for free for the rest of Shabbos, then what I'm doing is I'm being mevatel everything, including my house. I can't pick and choose. Once I'm mevatel everything. And Rabbanon say, no, I could do one or the other. I said chotzer, it's only chotzer. Forget about everything else. Says the Gemara, look at the Rabbanon, look at the Rav, the Omak Rabbanon. Rav says, like Rabbanon, that what? I'm mevatel my chotzer, I'm not mevatel my house. In other words, I'm not completely removed from here. I still live here. I'm a resident. Look, I have a beautiful house, a 2-story house. Yes, I gave away my garden, but not my house. So I belong here. If I belong here, I could get things back. Ushmuel Amar Kibelezer. And Shmuel holds, no, he's gone. Once you give up your garden, you give up your house. You give up your house, you give up your garden. You don't live here anymore. You're gone. You made aliyah. You're out of here. Amalach Rav says the Gemara, no. So like in all Gemaras, what we're trying to do is show that the logic could go different ways. There's different parts of the logic. We can think of things in different ways to open our mind a little bit. Amalach Rav, Anoda Amri, Afilu Rebelezer. No. It could go both ways. Ad kan loy kamer Rebelezer hasam hamevat rishus chatzeroy rishus beisi bitol. Why is Rebelezer said that once I'm mevatel my garden, I'm also mevatel my house? Mishum de bebayis beloy chatzer ledarinish. Nobody besides in the epic center of the world, only in Borough Park they call it epic center. The epic. In the epicenter of the world, in Brooklyn, there's no chatzer, but that's because it's the epic center of the world. But any other place, in the epicenter of the world, there is a chotzer, and there's no house without a chotzer. So Mamela, obviously, if I gave up my garden, I gave up my whole house. It's all about the chotzer. So that's one way to look at it. But you're not mechuyev to run away from your house. You don't have to get out of there. No, and perhaps Shmuel could hold like Rabbanon. They're not connected. This machlokes is not connected. Then what? Rabbanon hold that if I'm mevatel the chotzer, I'm not mevatel the house. They're not connected. I can look at Rabbanon hasam elo ma'ide batel. Look, you follow his words. When a person says, I'm giving up my yard, he means yard. He doesn't mean my $1 million house. But once he's mevatel something, he means I'm out of there 100%. And if he's out of there 100% of what he was mevatel, he can't get it back ever. You can't give it back. You can't say, oh, he gave it 100% up, and now you're going to give it back to him 100%. He's not a resident. He's no different than the guy that lives in a different country. This is a machlokes tanoi. Mi shenosan. In other words, a person, what is it called in another language? Bittul. Somebody did bittul. He gave up his rishus. Ben b'shagi ben b'mezid. V'hoitzi, sorry. V'hoitzi ben b'shagi ben b'mezid. Once he was mevatel, Dr. Epstein Shalom Aleichem. I'd love to see your face over here. It's gewaldig. So, once I give up my rishus, and then I walk out by mistake, I forgot it's not my yard anymore. It's not my yard. And what do? I take something out into the yard that doesn't belong to me anymore. I just made a chayzik out of the whole thing. So what happens? What is he doing? He's doing chayzer umevatel. He gave up the yard to everybody, and by him walking into the yard with stuff, he's declaring, I want it back. So he takes it back. Oh. So even if he did it b'mezid, if he did it b'shoigeg, oiser. There is Meir. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, b'mezid oiser, b'shoigeg and oiser. What's going on here? Rabbi Yehuda says no. By going out b'shoigeg, it doesn't become yours again. So why? Because Rabbi Yehuda doesn't hold of chayzer mevatel that I could get it back. You can't get it back. So why is it if he does it b'mezid, he does get it back? Oh, so we have to stick in a nekuda here. Important to remember this or understand this, because it's talking about before anybody had a the ability to use the chutzner. So what happens? Reuven says, you could have my chutzner to the whole mavoi. And then a second later, b'mezid, he goes out and starts carrying in it. So he's telling them, I never gave it to you. They never had the opportunity to be koinet. So before they were koinet, he took it, he stole it right back. And memela, it becomes also for everybody to use it. His bittul is nullified. B'shoy yeni nos. My lab, okay, the mar savar mevatlim v'chayzim mevatlim. Umar savar ein mevatlim v'chayzim u'mevatlim. L'chayra, like we just explained, the machlokes is, could you take it back? Once you relinquish your rights to a chutzner, could they relinquish it back to you? Rabbi Yehuda would say, you can't, so therefore b'shogeg you don't get it back. But b'mezid, you do get it back because they never got it. And they hold, no, Rameir holds, that you could get it back. Ememele, even b'shogeg, you get it back. You'll ask me in a second. I just want to finish. These guys are running to chakras. It's already 9 minutes late. Sorry. Is one of those days. No, everybody's going to hold. You cannot get it back. Very simple svara that we have all the time. What happened? If you do b'mezid, Rabbi Yehuda's maskim, he gets it back. So the machlokes is, do we have to make a gzeira if a person does a mezid? So shogeg is the same thing like a mezid or not? Could you defend? Rabbi Yehuda says you don't have to be geyser one for the other. Rameir says let's be geyser. Rameir says konser shogeg the mezid. Umar savar le konser shogeg atu mezid. Let's just do one more line here, and then because of Motzei Shabbos, we'll just have to do a little extra maybe. We'll see. Sorry, Rabbi Isai, for all the technical difficulties. Ravashi, different. We had the physical technical difficulties. We had the internet. We had all sorts of technical. Ravashi Omar Rav Ushmuel beplukta de Rabbi Lezer v'Rabbanon kemivligi. So Ravashi says no, like the Gemara said all the way in the beginning, that it is in fact the machlokes of Rabbi Lezer v'Rabbanon. If when you're mevatel your chutzner, does it also include the house? That machlokes that we had in the beginning of the sugya. Rabbi Isai, have a wonderful day, have a wonderful Shabbos. Be'ezer Hashem, tomorrow, right over here, Yosef is not here, but I think it's like 1:30 here. I think that's what we decided. 1:30 in the afternoon, Chicago time, so that in Eretz Yisrael, there could be a shir Motzei Shabbos. If you're in Eretz Yisrael, have a wonderful Shabbos. If you're in the rest of the world, I will see you tomorrow, Be'ezer Hashem, or have a wonderful Erev Shabbos. Huh? Africa is going to be in Shabbos. Different places will be in Shabbos. Moshe, after, where are you? You're in, oh, sorry. We got to do Shir Amalis. I don't know if there's time for Shir Amalis. Shir Amalis, no. Is Mom still around? Shir Amalis, Mom Kim Kursi Chadinoi. Amen.